Today, the hummingbird cake. Pineapple flowers on top, bananas and pineapples inside, toasted pecans. Delicious and creamy. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Disney Done Differently. So today, we're going to do one of my favorite desserts from Art Smith's Homecoming. If you don't know, Art Smith actually, before he became a chef, he was part of the first round of the college program that Disney put together. So it's nice to see that he started with the college program, went on to have an illustrious career as a chef. He was actually the personal chef for Oprah for a long time. And then came back to Disney Springs and opened up a restaurant there, Art Smith's Homecoming. Why Homecoming today? Well, at the end of this week, I'll be going home. I'm going to the parks for a couple of days. It's going to be a wonderful family trip, and I'm looking forward to it. But to start, pineapple. The hummingbird cake is made up of banana and pineapple, pecans, and we put it together, we make a beautiful frosting, but we're going to do it a little differently. Probably the hardest part of the whole cake. We need to cut the fresh pineapple, and what you want to do is cut the front and the back so that you have a place to make it stand, and we're going to trim. You just want to go straight down. Remember I said this is the hardest part. You want to go as thin as possible. You're going to go right through the core, and with each slice, you want to, as soon as you get in, down. Again, we're going to be drying these. Okay, at this point, you want to take a lined sheet pan, and I'm using a Silpat. You don't have to. And I'm going to lay out some paper towels, and what you want to do is press out as much moisture as possible. So I have the pineapple within the paper towel, pressing down. They're nice and thin, and that's going to get out all the moisture of the piece of pineapple. We'll do this a couple more times, and then I'll show you what to do next. You sliced them and you patted them dry onto a sheet pan, and we're going to put them in the oven at 250 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Nothing crazy, but this would be a good point in time if you have bananas that are not ripe. Throw them in the oven, 5-10 minutes. They're going to get the nice black color across the top. It actually brings out the sugar in the banana that we'll use later in the recipe. Alright, so we're going to start with the batter. So to this, we're going to add 2 3/4 cups of flour. And I'm just going to give this a quick sift. Nothing crazy. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Baking soda is going to act as our leavener. 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. And 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now at this point, folks, you could actually add allspice or cardamom if you'd like. Today I'm feeling like we just want to have some cinnamon. Kosher salt is always going to be the hardest to get in. Get it in there, and we just want to give this a quick mix just to incorporate everything. Alright, so we have our dry ingredients all set. Just took some pecans, spread them out on a half baking sheet. I'm going to toss those into the oven. Remember, we have our pineapple inside of there drying out. I'm going to just toast up some pecans. This is about a half a cup. I'll probably do 2 batches of this and get a full cup, and we'll show you later. Okay, so on this, what I'm doing is I'm just a little bit of butter, grease the whole pan, And then I'm going to just drop in some flour. And at this point, all you want to do is just greasing your pan so that the cake's not going to stick. Okay, so now for our bananas. Remember I was telling you, so the bananas I had bought, they're perfect bananas. They're not ripe yet. They're solid. I threw them into the oven on a sheet pan, and you can see exactly what happens. Now, when we take the banana out, it's going to be soft. It's going to help with the mashing process, but it actually brought out all the sugar into the banana. You can get the little black parts off. It's not going to hurt the dish at all. So we're going to drop in our bananas. Okay, so we have the bananas. They're all mashed up. I'm just going to put this to the side. Alright, so now we're going to start with our wet ingredients. So I'm going to start with 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, you can use a Greek yogurt for this step of the recipe. And to that, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of vegetable oil. Okay, and then 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You can use different types of vanilla, Tahitian vanilla, regular vanilla extract, whatever you'd like. But I would measure for this one, definitely for 2 teaspoons. Okay, and I'm going to just grab this, and we're going to add 3 eggs. As you've seen before, if you've watched any of the other videos, I like to crack the eggs into a separate bowl. The reason why is just like that. In case I drop the shell into it, I can pull it out of there and it doesn't affect the other ingredients. So we're going to separate these eggs. So it's 3 eggs. And then pour them right into here. And at this point, I'd like to give this a whisk just to incorporate the sour cream, the oil, and the eggs. So let's do that. Okay, so as this is being mixed, I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup of white sugar. And then how do we do things differently? Well, the recipe traditionally will call for a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar and keep mixing that, and a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. Brown sugar, folks, has molasses in it. Think of the ingredients that are in here. I wanted to be able to cut back on the molasses, so the light brown sugar has a little bit less. And we'll just whisk this together. And at this point, I'm going to grab our banana. So I have the crushed bananas that we did earlier, and we're going to add that. It's funny, sour cream and bananas. When I was a kid, my mother actually used to take bananas, slice them up, add sugar, white sugar to them, and sour cream, and mix them up and give it to us as a kid as dessert. Yeah, that was healthy. But so now I'm just incorporating all of the banana into here, and 1 8-ounce can of crushed pineapple. You can get these at any of your local grocery. And you can smell immediately the flavors of the banana, the sugar, and the pineapple coming together. And now I'm going to add 1 cup of the toasted pecans that I put in the oven earlier. I cut those up, chop them up, and that's just going to give you your texture. That's why if you notice, you saw some of the banana wasn't completely mashed. It's going to be fine. I like texture inside of the cakes. I'm going to grab our dry ingredients, and we're going to pour everything into here. And at this point, it's going to look like a ton of batter that you have, and it's totally okay. I'm doing 2 8-inch tins for this cake. I'll probably have a little bit left over to do a 6-inch. I'm basically, with this point, we just want to fold in the ingredients. The harder that you mix everything in, the more gluten that you're going to be working into the cake, and will become dry actually. Okay, so we're going to take the batter, we're going to put it into our greased pans. Remember, I have 2 8-inch and a 6-inch. We'll see how much needs to go into each one. You know what, I'm going to actually just break these up into 2 8-inch pans because I want them to actually have some height to them. Remember, we added that baking soda, and that's our leavening agent. Alright, so the cakes are in the oven at 350 degrees for about 35 to 40 minutes, depending on your oven. So we're going to make the frosting. The frosting calls for 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese. Now, traditionally, I'd probably make this in my stand mixer, but just I want you guys to see. So I'm going to use a handheld mixer. There's nothing wrong with that. So we have our cream cheese, and then 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. Make sure that everything is at room temperature, and we're going to give this a mix. So my recipe calls for 1 pound of confectionery sugar. I suggest that you can alter this. You can go, the more powdered sugar that you add, the stiffer the frosting is going to be. So I wouldn't go in completely with the whole amount. I would go in with about 1/4 of it at first. The main reason is to just get it incorporated. Okay, so while whipping, you want to scrape down the sides. It's always a good idea so that you get everything incorporated. So you just want to scrape down the sides of what's sticking to the bowl. And at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And we'll mix again. So as you can see, we have peaks, and that's what I was looking for. So that, to me, that's the correct consistency. We're going to set this to the side. We'll get rid of this, and we'll get that cleaned up. And we'll put the frosting onto the side there. And remember our pineapple that I had on the sheet pan? Well, I took them out and I placed them inside of a muffin tin. These are cooling down, so these are not ready just yet, but as you can see, they're now taking shape of the muffin tin, and these are going to be our garnish, little pineapple flowers that we'll be able to put on top of our cake. Something a little different. Okay, so cakes are out of the oven, they've been cooled, and now is the fun part, right? So just placed it so it's got the height. We have that beautiful frosting that we made, cream cheese, the butter, right? A little bit of vanilla. Put that there, and we'll spread that out. Now I like to leave just about 1/4 of an inch around the sides, because when you put the second layer on, it'll spread out the actual filling. Now, this is a hummingbird cake. If we were to stop right now, this is the traditional hummingbird cake. Of course, we're putting a second layer on, but where are we? Disney done differently. So what are we going to add to this? Well, I went ahead and I toasted some coconut, because you got bananas and you have the pineapple, and a little coconut works well with both of those. And then for a little bit more of texture, remember those pecans that we put in? Well, let's put that right into here for the center of the layer of the cake. I like fillings, even if it's a cupcake. I like a filled cupcake. I don't like it just on the top. So we have that. I'm going to take my second layer. Now, folks, people will tell you to cut the top to make it smooth, and or invert the cake so that you have a smoother bottom that you're gonna be able to do the frosting on. You do it however you'd like to. For me, I like to just place it on, know that it's properly been centered, and go back to our pastry bag with our icing, frosting, and we'll start from the middle, work our way around, and this, again, I'm not going to go to the full edge. Alright, let's give this, smear this. Now if you want a perfectly smooth topping, I would take your frosting knife or spatula, whatever you prefer to use, and you can add this to hot water to heat up the actual metal, dry it off, and then you have the heat from the metal is actually going to smooth out your frosting. Okay, put that there, and for this, remember what I told you. We have our pineapple flowers. So these are the pineapples that we dehydrated. We just took them. They got crispy. They look elegant. I think that's enough. Maybe a little bit of the pecans across the top, just a little bit, like a dusting. And there you have it, folks. That's a hummingbird cake. For me, sometimes it's too sweet if you were to frost the whole cake. But you know what? Why don't we do it this way? We'll go one layer right around the side. Remember, when you do this, don't try to force it. Spin it to you and continue to move. Let your edges come together. Again, folks, you're having fun. We're making food. You're sharing this with your loved ones and your family. If you want, take the knife at this point, go as flat as you can, and come around. Clean surface. Just filling in the cracks. I don't know about you, but to me, that's a beautiful cake. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the hummingbird cake. I'm not going to cut into this. I have some family coming over this evening. I'm going to serve this evening. This is going to be our dessert. I'm also going to be discussing how we're going to be celebrating in Disney this week. Thank you, folks. I hope you enjoyed the hummingbird cake as much as I did. I'm going to share that with my family. I'm going to post pictures with it up on the Instagram. If you like what you saw today, please like, subscribe, and share. Till next time. Hey, I'm going to be in Disney next week. Maybe it's going to be, instead of just a cooking video, might be a couple of lives. Maybe we'll do a food review from some of my favorites from our park. Thank you so much for joining us again, folks. Till next time.